Well, hello everybody. I'm glad to see you this afternoon have a chance to talk about the Bachelor of Arts to you as one of the degree programs here at ADFA or UNSW Canberra, which is the faculty's name. My name's Craig Stockings. I run the School of Humanities and Social Sciences, so the BA is the program that I manage. I'm also a graduate of this place about a century ago. I was a military staff member here and now an academic here, so it's kind of been linked to my life for the last 30-something years. Just had to say there's something. So I want to run this as a discussion more than just a lecture to you. There is some information I've been asked to pass to you, and I know some of you will be interested in the technicalities of the degree, the majors, the minors, these sorts of things. We can do that, and I'll make sure there's plenty of time for questions and answers at the end, so we can do that. But I want to give more of a broad brush introduction about the BA and what it might be. I'll introduce you to Jack and Chloe, my able assistants here, who can certainly answer any more cadet life related questions, given that that's well beyond my frame of reference after all of this time. But first of all, a Bachelor of Arts has got nothing to do with painting and drawing, that sort of stuff, right? That always comes up. It's an old-fashioned name for what really is a Bachelor of Social Studies or study in the humanities, not fine arts. I can't draw at all. So I'll just give you a little bit of an overview of what we do here. And the BA at ADFA, guys, about 1 in 4 cadets, undergrads, does the Bachelor of Arts. It's usually between 22 to 25% of the student body. A bit of an overview. I sort of covered that stuff. I'm not actually going to talk in any details about entry requirements and these sorts of things. The only message from me to you, if you're aspiring to be a training officer at Defence Academy or do a BA, is just do the best you can. Whatever you're doing at school, get the best ATAR you can. The rest will look after itself. This always gets asked. What does a BA qualify you to do? A BA qualifies you to do no job. Right? But it qualifies you to do every job. That's the philosophical purpose of a BA. It's not to teach you how to do a thing, which is sort of more training oriented, or to get a certification, like if you're doing an engineering degree. It's designed to make you a better person, a better thinker, challenge your beliefs, make you a better citizen, and in some cases a better officer. So not one job, that's true. I'll just pause for a sec. Hi guys. Not at all. Very unlike an academic to start on time, so it's my fault. And if you don't believe me, because I'd say that, wouldn't you? Here are some faces I'm sure you recognise, all proud BA graduates. Whatever you might think of those faces. So I just want to make that not a job, every job. Better thinker, better citizen, better officer. That's why BA has always been part of the curriculum, is part of the curriculum of military academies across the world, has always been part of the 3 service curriculums before there was an ADFA back in 1986. So what are we actually after? Well, there's all sorts of subjects we teach and majors and minors I'll go through, but this is the skills, or if we want to use university language, the learning outcome, the program learning outcomes of a Bachelor of Arts. Critical thinking. You guys know there's a whole lot of ways to get information today. A lot of it's not what you would call truthful information. We try to give students the skills to sort the wheat from the chaff. In an age of internet activity and echo-sounding chat rooms and all the rest of it, it's sometimes hard to sort truth, whatever truth might be, from what it's not. It's one of the jobs here in a BA, to think critically, not in a cynical way, everything's wrong, but to think for yourself in an evidence-based way, to find and assess relevant information. Yes, we are coming to terms with chatbot and all these things here as well. To understand the underlying principles of things, rather than to rote learn. And yes, guys, when in a BA, we do ask you to communicate in a written form as well as verbally. There's no apologies for that. To know something is to be able to communicate something. That's something that ChatGPT can't do for you. Well-honed communication skills, and fundamentally, which is why I'm here at a military academy, as a basis for intelligent leadership. You might be surprised, you may not be surprised. I was talking recently to a colleague in the US Air Force Academy at Colorado. You might have heard of that or not. Traditionally a home of STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, maths, who've just re-raised in the aftermath of Afghanistan a faculty of social science and a faculty of the humanities. The idea that maybe critical thinking, moving away from formulaic answers to the problems of defence in the world might be a thing to do. Again, I'll just look a little bit more about this relevance. Defence you'll have no choice if you're a graduate over here, it will teach you to do the things you need to know to do your job. It will teach you how to run a watch on a ship, it'll teach you how to fly an aircraft if that's your view, or to command a troop of tanks or whatever else that might be. That would be training. It will teach you what to do, that's not what we're here for. A Bachelor of Arts at this place is designed to give you the knowledge to complement this, the thinking skills. Now, having worn a uniform myself, I can tell you this with some certainty. It is not an officer's job, particularly a junior officer's job, to be the fastest or the best shot, or to carry the heaviest pack, or to play the best rugby. There's plenty of capable soldiers for that. It is an officer's job to think, whether that be in the infantry platoon or in a signals troop, wherever it is, that's what you're paid to do. That marks the job as different. Learning how to think is what we're trying to do here. We go beyond technical competence, independent thought, as I say. This is why there is an ADFA and why there has always been similar institutions across the Western world. I'll give you a bit more information about the faculty here, and the relationship is not complex, it's contractual. This is a defence base. The Defence Force Academy is owned by Defence. Trainee officers are paid by Defence. We have a relationship with it has a relationship with the University of New South Wales to deliver undergraduate training for Defence. So the two sort of nest next to each other, but they don't cut across each other. You've walked around today, even though it's a cold and blowy day today, to see the campus. I hope you've had a chance to see cadet accommodation, not that it's in a great state at the moment, I'm sure these guys can talk about that. You've seen some lecture theatres and the facilities we have here. Within the BA, the teaching ratio is about 1 to 12, which is remarkable in the sector. So when we run tutorials, we'll always cap them, for example, at 12 students and a lecturer. If you're doing the same course at ANU, be about 50. Which tends to change the dynamic a bit. So students are a little spoilt here, but so are we, because we're well resourced and well catered for. You can read that propaganda for yourself, guys. But suffice to say that UNSW Canberra, here on this campus, is one of UNSW's faculties, of the 9 faculties. Same rules apply. Separate from the undergraduates, we teach PhD students, we teach master's courses, we do all the stuff any other faculty of UNSW does. It's just that our undergraduates wear a uniform and we don't choose them, Defence does. It's a big uni, with aspirations to be ever bigger. UNSW is now the highest ranked Australian university in Canberra, according to this year's measurements. There's no one from ANU here, unfortunately, because I'm sure your face would have screwed up. I'll talk to you a little bit more about my school, the School of Humanities and Social Sciences, everybody. These are some of the things we aspire to, and these sort of ideas frame all the learning outcomes for the various courses that we put on. Reveal the way people act, the reasons why people, society, or institutions, organisations act the way they do. Humanities and social science is the study of human aspects of the world as opposed to technical aspects. That was ANU, by the way, on a hack. a broad understanding of the world around you within our capacity to do so. We can't put on courses from every discipline. We're not that large as a faculty, but we do our best. And I'll get to those programs and courses a bit later. Not just a degree for a defence career either. What do? We make, and again I'll leave my colleagues to talk about how this looks from the other side. We ask questions, we challenge assumptions. Sometimes it's not comfortable, but it shouldn't be comfortable at university now. We don't often provide answers, because sometimes those answers are ill-defined. What we do require students to do is be able to find and source and evaluate their own evidence and explanations for things that are occurring around us. And as I said, make no apologies, you've got to be able to write cogently and coherently. That's a life skill. And communicate in the verbal way as well. All right, we're going to head into technicalities here, which always puts me on thin ice, but broadly speaking, this is what we do. The situation has changed recently. I mean, what I put in front of you here isn't the case this year. University always tends to change its degree structures, but this will be accurate for 2025 and beyond. If you are studying a Bachelor of Arts, you must have at least one major of those top three: history, Indo-Pacific studies, or international and political studies. History, you will know, about half of those courses, maybe a bit fewer than half, have military aspects to them or are military related. That's neither here nor there, other than that's usually what the clientele or cadets that find themselves at this place are interested in. So whilst there will be X number of history courses with a military flavour, there'll be the same number without, just to offer that balance, that liberal education. Indo-Pacific Studies is a new program and major we're standing up in first semester next year, and that's all disciplines, but it's just a study of the region. That'll have historians, it'll have literature types, it'll have political scientists, anthropologists, sociologists in it, to give a deeper understanding of the region, because much changes in the world, but geography tends not to. And we also tend to think that it's of use to junior officers to have some insight as to the place that we live. Indo-Pacific Studies, International Political Studies has aspects of security studies, international relations, political science, those sorts of things. You can conduct or can have a second major in either geography or business, or a minor in geography and business. But I don't own science school and I don't own the business school. So at least one major has to be with me. You can do two majors with us, you can do a major and minor with us. If you wanted to have a second major, you could do it in geography or business, or a minor in geography or business. That sounds complicated even when I say it. Are there any questions there? And the only reason there's a rule saying you have to have one for us is I'm the person that signs off saying, yes, this person has attained a degree, so I need to have seen them. History is just a taster. It tends to be modern history we do. Sometimes we reach back a little bit, but most of the history courses are in and around the 20th century, late 19th century, sometimes more recent courses as well. But these are some examples of the sorts of courses we put on. But a split between military-oriented and just more liberal subjects as well. That is not exhaustive, the list is long. Same for the new Indo-Pacific Studies program. Given it's under development, I know those courses are going on with some others, but we're still working on that for next year as well. So just tasters, and the courses are not set in stone. We tend to put on different ones each year as appetites change, as interests change, or as things in the world change, right? If you choose that business minor or major in a BA, there are some options for you there. I believe the business presentation's on after this one, if anyone wants to stay and is interested. And geography as well. Yes, those subjects and disciplines could equally fit into the School of Humanities, it's just the way the cut is. It's of no real relevance to a student. Along with the courses that we provide, there are, for undergraduate trainee officers, there are some courses which are mandatory. Well, they're kind of mandatory because some of them you get to choose between 1 and 2. So not compulsory, but you've got to choose between 1 or 2, and some of those are listed there. Of those 3 green ones, or the 4 green ones, my school does 3, so you can't escape us. And the yellow ones we don't do, but students need to do. We do half of cybersecurity. And these are simply courses that Defence has considered everybody should be exposed to. But they don't form part of a major or minor. In another university, they would be free electives, just not so free here. Study load. I'm sure my colleagues will agree, because you get paid to do this and dinners are about 100 metres away, the load is right down here, right? It's absolutely minor. That's a joke. Usually 4 courses in the first semester or first year and the second semester. For a BA student, that would typically include all 3 of those first year options, history, IPS and Indo-Pacific, and there'll be a 4th that the student would choose. It repeats itself. After that first year, a student would typically choose 1 or 2 subjects they were particularly interested in and follow those through for second and third year. If you took a subject all the way through to third year, it would be a major. If you took 2 all the way through, you'd have 2 majors. If you stopped 1 at second year, it would be a minor. It's just a credit point count. Unlike other degrees, we don't say these are the courses you have to have, right? Because they're more prescribed, even the business degree. We would say you need this amount of credit points, and if you want a major, you need to take it from this program or a minor from that program. But the courses you choose are your choice to make. I think that looks suspiciously like the program from year 2. Those prescribes and generals are the ones on the slide I put up a moment ago, where you sort of have to do those or choose between the 2 options. Yes, you can do 2 majors or one and a minor. Even without looking at all those numbers, you just trust me on that. I think for you guys the rule is still 2 majors, right? Yeah, so double majors are finished. You can do that in the future, but you can wind it back just to a major and a minor from next year, so sorry. Always comes up. I tell you that the first point of entry to be an undergraduate training officer at ADFA is defence recruiting, not the university. There is, for our degrees, a minimum 8R matriculation standard for a BA that tends to be around 75. It's not a hard figure, but it tends to be around 75. And that's only because that's the wider UNSW as a university's matriculation standard for a BA. First thing you've got to do is convince Defence that they want you as an officer. And again, the rest kind of takes care of itself. I often get questions on talks like this, without preempting anything. Well, what subject should I be doing in year 11 and year 12? It doesn't matter. What matters is you do well. That's all. I know it's ancient history, but as I was telling someone up the back, when I came to ADFA myself back in the early 90s, I didn't study any humanities courses at high school because the high science and maths classes were the way to get a big TER, it was called back then, right? I didn't like it much, but I could do it, and I got a high TER. And I came to this place and did a Bachelor of Science. Why? Because I got a high TER. It was compulsory back then. They didn't have any of those prescribed subjects to do. If you're a Bachelor of Science student, you had to do one course of arts. And I did history. It wasn't on a Friday. I'd never studied history at high school. It doesn't matter. I actually found that I enjoyed history, even though I wasn't getting great marks for it at the start, and I had a job waiting at the end anyway, so I changed to a Bachelor of Arts and did history. And here I am as a pointy-headed history professor. I never studied at high school. It doesn't matter. Just do what you enjoy and do it well. Get the ATAR to get you in. Decide whatever you want. I mean, it's a pretty nice position to be at uni, not worrying about your job that comes after, right? So do what you enjoy, what brings you joy. You'll tend to do better at it anyway. Assumed knowledge, of course, is English. That's the only medium in which we teach. There are other things we're doing as a school. Again, sorry to my colleagues, but we are doing battlefield tours from next year going forward, history tours and political science tours as well. We do exchanges. We take students to Indonesia for what used to be the Indonesian Studies program. We'll be taking students across the Indo-Pacific if they're doing that as a major as well. Not compulsory, just an option. We split the funds. New Colombo plan gives us some money for it, and students pay a bit themselves as well. Language is an option. We will still offer within the Indo-Pacific Studies program an option for Bahasa language. Students, if you wanted to do a BA but do a different language, there are ways to allow you to go to ANU and do that, even though you're here as a cadet, if that's your thing. I probably talked for even longer than I wanted, because the important thing, I think, is to answer your questions, because if you've got a question, safe to assume there's another 12 people around with the same question. I just want to, before I do ask for a Q&A, I want to give these guys a chance to talk about a BA or their own experience, because I think there's no better place to hear it from the people that are actually doing it, right? Just a few minutes, guys.
Cool. Hi. I'm Jack. I'm majoring in English, which is not going to be offered next year, unfortunately, and history. And my electives are business and international and political studies. I adored English and history in high school, and so I carried that over into here, and it's just really built on those, like it's just the next step up from what was in high school, and I love it. Analysis, research, synthesis, all the skills I love, longer essays. It's a reading lover and writing lover's dream to do a Bachelor of Arts.
Well, these guys are unpaid, by the way.
All right. Hi everyone, I'm Officer Cadet Chloe Familton. I'm a first year here, also doing a BA, obviously. I'm majoring in history and international and political studies, and I'm doing Indonesian and aviation as my electives. I think very much, I'll echo what Jack said, is that it's a really, really good degree for you to really explore your interests and your passions. Myself, history is the love of my life, and I get to go nerd out about World War II for a whole semester. Sorry. I will also say, yeah, we all did volunteer to do this, so we're all very, very passionate about our degrees, and it's a really great opportunity, so if you're considering it, definitely would recommend.
Hello everyone, my name is Alexander. I'm majoring in IPS and business. I'm doing business economics as well as IPS history, national military power and USA politics. All very interesting and applicable units, very helpful for career and wider defence. I like the sentiment of before, reading and writing lover's dream. I adore reading and I adore the readings for these lectures. Very interesting reading and very helpful in your both the academic career and your later military career.
Thanks, guys. Please, if you've got any questions, they don't have to be at me, they can be at my colleagues here as well. Yes?
Where in the application do you start applying for CDF and what ATAR do you need for that?
The question, I've got to repeat the question so the mic can pick it up, sorry. The question was, where along the process do you apply for the CDF program and what ATAR is required? You don't. The CDF program happens once you're here, and that's determined by your WAM score, which is the equivalent of a university ATAR. And I think for a BA, correct me guys, we need an average of 75. I'll pass it to an expert.
Thank you very much. It's 95 as an ATAR for an arts degree and 98, I believe, for science off the top of my head. It's not anything separate that you apply for when you're going through the university process. You'll put down a BA as normal, and the way it worked for me is the week before classes start, I open up my email and there's an email in my inbox saying, hey, we've had a look at the grades that you got in high school. We think you'd be a good fit for this program. Here's a form for you to fill out. So just my advice for you would just be keep your studies up and wait out until the start of the academic year. And if it doesn't happen in your first year, it's also maintaining your mark within the university can make it happen for your second or third year.
I'm hugely excited you're asking about excellence programs before even here. I think that's amazing.
Sorry. Also, is it right that that counts as a major then? Like if you were doing a double major and you did the CDF, then you're only doing one major plus the CDF? Or
No, I don't think that's the case. But we are playing with majors at the moment, so don't take that as law. It's something to worry about when you're here, honestly.
Sorry, can I just, I'm going to jump in. For others who don't know what the CDF is, could you just...
Oh, of course. It's an excellence program run at the faculty, so for very high-performing students are given extra and more challenging and different tasks to do. You might, for example, do a research project or extended task as opposed to a normal set of lectures or a course. It varies from faculty to faculty and degree to degree under how that works. The engineers do a different type of project than a BA CDF program, but it is simply a program for high-achieving academic undergrads. No one wants to know how much they get paid or anything like that? Too much? You don't have to say.
Too much. That's the definitive answer we're getting.
More than most undergrad university students who don't have a second job.
I guess I've got a question. After you study and after ADFA, what kind of careers do you see that students would potentially go into? What are
Yeah.
the options?
The question was, what careers within defence do BA graduates go into? It's a really good question, comes up all the time, and it's something that I'm deeply engaged in at the moment. The answer is it depends. So, if we take an army example, zero bearing. Yeah, you've got done training to do after that. Usually it's pretty behaviourist, depending on how you rank in that class. You often get the sort of type of job that you choose. Different from the other services, there is a little bit of streaming that goes on, but I need to put everything in context. Only about half of Defence's general service junior officers come here. The other half don't have degrees or have got degrees before they join Defence. There are no jobs off limits for anybody. I think in Army, in all of Army, which is 60% of Defence, there are 2 jobs in construction squadrons that require a certified engineering degree. That's it. There is advice that potential TAs get from their recruiters and others, sometimes misguided advice, sometimes accurate. For example, there are for General Service Air Force or pilot Air Force graduates who want to go on a pilot's course, does have aspects of maths and physics in it. So the advice might be do a maths and physics degree. Not great if you can't do a maths and physics degree. Plenty of classmates of mine did a BA and they fly fighter planes. It's not hard and fast. And in the same way, I've had cadets come and say, I really want to do a Bachelor of Science, but I want to have a career as an intelligence officer, I really should be doing a BA. Not so. Not so. Be very careful of people when they tell you have to do X.
if you select a Bachelor of Arts, do you need to, this is probably for your colleagues, do you need to select which discipline, like Army, Air Force, like at the beginning, or does that happen as you're going along?
No, it happens before you start your academic study, so you'd be recruited into one of the services. It's not unheard of or impossible to change the colour of your uniform while you're here. It does happen. It's not impossible to change your degree either. Sometimes you make decisions you didn't wish you make when you're 18, right? That happens to everyone. Yeah.
I'm keen for you guys to talk through your recruitment process.
Our question was talk through the recruitment process. Only caveat is that's a malleable thing too, so that can change as well.
It's long. I started in April of 2022, I think, and I didn't get my letter of offer until December last year, so don't leave it late. The first step is like the job aptitude test. I unlocked no officer roles with it and was ready to give up then, but I was encouraged to get that appealed, and I did, and then I got through the next stage, so that was pretty good, that I didn't just stop there. So don't stop if the same happens to you. Followed by an assessment day, which is like medical, psychological, and like a defence job interview. And then after that, it's the officer selection board, which is again just a bit more rigorous of like a job interview. And then you get your letter of offer, and then applying concurrently to UNSW.
I'll also say to people in the room who are currently going through the recruiting process, good luck. I really, really feel for you. I started applying at the end of 2022 and was in the pipeline for just over a year. I did the last ASP, last OSB, the last of the recruiting things of the year, and I got my letter of offer at the end of December. And I have friends who also found out 10 days before they were going to ADFA. So certainly the process can be challenging at times, but it's also the idea that it's challenging for a reason, and you really do have to work for it and really make sure that you want it as well. But I wish you all the best of luck with going through the process. I mean, we've spoken about the interviews. One thing I'll add is I'm a pilot candidate, so for some particular job roles, there are other requirements you have to meet. So for myself, I did something called an aviation screening program. So they take you down to RAF Base East Sale for a couple of days. So I did that during my last school holidays before I finished year 12. And there were a couple of days of quite intensive testing. So things like mental math, pattern recognition, hand-eye coordination. And you also get to learn some stuff about Air Force operations on an active base, which was very, very cool and quite motivating as well.
Yeah, I'll just echo the previous sentiments. Be prepared for long waits for the emails. I started in 2021, got my job offer November last year. It takes a while, be prepared to wait. Also, get used to being on hold. You'll spend a couple hours. Just focus more on soft skills more than academic prowess.
So I want to put an upbeat on that. The three-star officer just appointed to head people group, Lieutenant General Natasha Fox, an arts graduate here, senior class of mine, has pledged publicly to try and fix those problems across the board in ADF recruiting, of which ADFA is one part. We'll wait and see, but hopefully that's not always the case, guys.
Based on the information we've just heard, that long recruitment process, so is it a usual practice that people look into other directions or get enrolled in other universities? And if they have done that, what happens then?
The question was, given long recruiting times, what if there's somebody's waiting and they go to a different uni or follow a different path? What happens then? I'm not well qualified to answer that. I only see cadets once they turn up here. Have you got anything anecdotal, guys?
Yeah, so I ended up having to go to uni for the entirety of last year. I went to UWA for a year, studied there, then had to do a second officer selection board end of last year. So I would recommend, if it's taking a while, to also put down your preferences for UAC, get involved in several universities, put your preferences down, and still work hard towards HR because you might still need it.
Thank you.
Make sure that degree's a BA, then we can just transfer the credits. Keep fit. Oh, right up in the back corner.
Is there a reason that you're not offering English again? And is it likely that it will be offered again?
The question was, if there's a reason we're not offering English and will it be offered again? Well, that's yes and no. English subjects will still be on offer, but they'll be within different majors or programs. The reason is there's simply not enough undergrads interested in majoring in English to make the program viable. And that's a business reality that's difficult. I don't like it either. It's on hold. If circumstances change, then everything could change again. I think the English at universities, it's not just here, it's across the sector, suffers a bit that it's compulsory at high school. And by the time people have finished year 12, they think they've sort of had enough of English. That's just a gut feeling. But then the people who want to study English at university tend to be really passionate about it, which is a shame. Well, I want to thank you all for coming and listening to us, and please, after the presentation, feel free to come and have a chat if you like. Other than that, enjoy the campus, enjoy Open Day, and I hope to see some of you, if not in January, then the January after that. Thank you, everybody.